Yeah, I'm also going to record here.
Okay, so now that we're recording, let's start that over again. Direct mail, direct income bonus webinar. Lee Cole and Chris Reck are on here, and basically it's not going to be an extremely long webinar unless it needs to be. We're here to help you, so you just shoot any questions over our way that you can. Chris, there's this crazy sliding noise.
Is it coming from? Is it coming from me?
The only two microphones open are you and me.
Can you still hear it?
No, I can't. It sounds like somebody sliding a toilet over a marble floor.
It might actually be the chair that I'm sitting in. I'm going to try to stop moving. We'll see.
Okay. Well, everybody complains about my 100-year-old desk, so.
Yeah, I have my chair is probably 100 years old, so I have the same situation.
That's probably, well, I like antiques. And John thought that was hilarious. He said, John, didn't it sound like somebody taking a big porcelain toilet and sliding it over a marble floor in like a, courthouse or something? It was crazy. Okay. So.
All right, I'm going to try to stop that from happening.
It's okay.
No, nobody
cool.
was flushing anything either.
No,
so
no.
I am nowhere near a bathroom at the moment.
At the moment, thank you. We're getting into the too much information category. But anyway.
Yeah, here we go. All right.
So why do you need to pay attention at the very end? Chris actually does know what he's talking about, for real. Okay, he is not just somebody creating products. He walks the talk. He does this stuff. As you guys know, I do too. And got a cool announcement, which I think is going to be of great interest to you coming at the end. So that's why you need to stay on. Let's go to this next one. Chris and I were talking about this yesterday, and I wanted to kind of summarize in my own head what direct mail and direct income is all about. And I know there's a specific method that Chris shows which actually works better than he advertised. Excuse me, I had to take a swig of tea there. A few people hit me up and say, wow, Lee, does that really work as well as Chris said? And I said, well, I've known Chris for a long time, and I believe him 100%. So I was talking to Chris about it, and he said, well, Chris, go ahead and tell me what you said, because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, what I said is, when I advertised it, I wanted to make it seem like less than it actually does. It converts over 15%. The first time I did it, I told you it converted at 20%, which is where it converted. I mailed a more refined list later, and it converted at like 30%. But then again, there have been times where it only converts at 11% or 12%. But just so you know, it can convert up to that 30%. It just depends on who you're mailing, how much you're mailing. Typically, when I do a remail, which I think we're going to talk about today, your percentage will actually go up on a second time or a third time mailing because I do hit the same people over again if they don't respond. But
that's very cool.
That's that, yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. Let's definitely talk about the remailing thing because I've been putting out a lot of information, videos, other content over the past few months about creating a sales funnel, multiple contacts and stuff like that. That is something that's not taught, but you and I both know that's something that the pros actually do a lot of.
Yeah, definitely.
So the remailing is a big thing. Just from kind of a bird's eye view, to my mind, when Chris showed me direct mail, direct income and gave me access to it, and I looked at it, I thought, man, this is so cool because it's so simple. It's easy, it's simple, it's to the point, it does exactly what it needs to do. And I thought, if people buy this and actually do it, it's going to help them a lot. And here were the reasons that were floating around in my head when I was looking at it, because it's about not preventing your own success. I do a lot of coaching now, and a lot of people, without really even knowing it, frankly. I mean, it's not that they do it on purpose. It's a subconscious thing, but a lot of people just basically trip all over themselves and erect obstacles in their path. And I love direct mail, direct income because it removes those obstacles. Not stepping all over yourself, not giving yourself excuses to fail, disguised as You know, we all do this. You know, we think, well, I have to know this. I have to know the answer to that question. Well, what if they say this? Well, what if that happens? And Chris, you and I both talked about this with each other. All of that
Right.
stuff, yeah, those are really just excuses for failure. And I'm not being hard on anybody. I'm just being honest here because I want to help you. Those are excuses for failure. And direct mail, direct income was so incredibly simple, and it was like the shortest distance between 2 points, a straight line. And
Yep.
that was what direct mail, direct income just reminded me of. I mean, it was like, man, this is like, I could give this to one of my 14-year-old kids and say, do that, you know, and, you know, if you
Right.
need to, just pretend you're 30 and it's all good, you know. But they could easily do that. So next slide. Here's where Lee and Chris just talk. And we're gonna spill the beans on a lot of stuff. So if I were you guys, I would get out some paper and take some notes. Chris, I loved hearing about the remailing, and I think that would be a great place for us to start out and have you talk about how to do that, et
Sure.
cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so basically, I wanted to make this course as easy as possible. So even if you only put together a list of, say, 200 businesses, what I would do is I would try to mail, well, I mean, me personally, I would mail all 200 at once. But, you could break that up into doing, 50 a week. You could do 100 a week, whatever you would like. But the goal of remailing is I keep that list. I don't destroy it or throw it away. And I make sure to keep track in a spreadsheet of who's called back. And I usually delete those people who have called back, and I move them to 2 other files, either somebody who I've had a meeting with and closed, or somebody who says they're not really interested. We can talk about that as well. It gets really complicated. But then what I do is, if I mail, say, 100 people, let's say we take off 20 because 20 people have called back, I will keep that list of 80 and I will mail them again. Pretty much the same exact mailer. I don't change it up, for that second mailing. And then, I'll get more calls from that 80, and then I'll even mail a third or fourth time people after that, depending. And what I always do is after the second time, I'm changing my mailer. It usually could be something that says, hey, I've been trying to reach you. I'll add that in there on a third time mailer. And that usually will get some more responses. But you really have to stick with it. And that's a great place to start for people is, just get a list of 100 people and just keep remailing that list. Don't do, 100 and then another different 100 people. I think that's a great place for people who are looking to start, to get started right there.
I think that one thing that is one of those golden nuggets right there. I'm guilty of not doing enough of the remailing myself. When you remail the second time, you're basically mailing exactly the same thing that you mailed the first time.
Second time is always the exact same thing.
Okay.
What you have to think about is a lot of these people, a lot of these businesses, they might have a manager who actually opens up the mail,
Sure.
so it's not getting directly to them sometimes. So sometimes on that second time, you can actually get to that person. And then also what you have to think about is, they might have intended to call you in the first place, but maybe they just misplaced your note and then they never call you. So that second note is kind of like a little reminder saying, hey, I'm still here, I still want to work with you. And then they'll call you back on that second time.
With a small business, I think both of those things are correct, but the second thing is huge because with small businesses, a lot of times they're just running around putting out fires, and they
Right.
know they just like all business owners, me included. I mean, there's a stack of stuff on your desk that you're interested in and you're going to get to. It's just you have other stuff to do that's a little more crisis driven. So I love that. Now, what happens on the third mailing?
Usually on the third mailing, I'll make it seem like a little bit more urgent. Since I've only just started really hammering these yellow letters really hard, I haven't even gotten to a third mailing with my list yet. The first list that I started with. I'm only just doing the second. On the third mailing, what I'm going to do is make it seem more urgent. So I'll say, hey, I've really been trying to get in touch with you. You really should call me, something to that effect. And say, you don't have a mobile website or, whatever. I'm going after reputation. And that's basically that. I can actually put up the template that I'm going to use when I'm done with it in the members area. So everybody, I'll send out an email when I have that template completed, so everybody can see it.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I think it's Jose over here said, what type of product should we promote? I've started with mobile, just sent out my first one for reputation management. But mobile is great. To me, I love mobile. For those of you who've been on my list a long time, I'm a mobile guy. But it's a great foot in the door. It's an easy kind of product to promote, and you can upsell from there very easily. I was talking to somebody, this is kind of random and a little off topic, but I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago who said they give businesses, mobile websites for free, and what they do is they track the results by tracking it through Google Analytics, and they can show that to the business owner. They can say, look, you received 100 people to this over the last week right to your mobile website, and it's just a great way to prove your worth and to prove the service's worth. So you could even do something like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Mobile is really almost the perfect front-end product.
Yeah, it really is.
You can price it perfectly to where, it's not an impulse buy, but it's definite. It's not like you're charging somebody $3,000 or $4,000 for a giant SEO package or something like that. People can buy it. They get to see the mobile website on their phone. They get immediate gratification. It looks cool. They feel like they're ahead of the curve on their competitors. So that Chris, you're sliding that toilet across the marble floor again.
You know what I think it is? It might be me typing. I just typed to somebody.
I'm just messing with you. It's okay.
In the,
I just wanted to say that again. But anyway, yeah, mobile I think is just perfect for this. Are you going to change anything about the envelope? What the letter's actually delivered in on the third time?
Yeah, what my problem is and I even admit this, I have total ADD when it comes to this stuff, but I love testing. I could actually almost care less about the results, about getting the clients and stuff. I just love testing things out. That's why, people on my list, they always say, you're all over the place. You're doing so many different things. It's just because I love to see what works. So even now, I've already sent them out in 2 different styles of envelope. And I did cover that in the course itself, but one was just a regular white invitation style envelope, and one wasn't a invitation style envelope. One was it's just like a smaller size envelope. And I do plan on trying, they call it ivory, but it's basically a yellow envelope invitation style. So I do plan on trying that, and I also thought of trying red, like a red envelope for that third mailer to make it seem more urgent. Because you can, if you just go to Staples, they have, all different colors of envelopes and invitation style envelopes.
Yeah.
Like that.
Philip's got a good question. He says, do you think it's a good idea to print out a report and mail it with the yellow? Philip's got a link here. I haven't seen that report, but yeah. PLR type stuff, sure.
Yeah, you definitely could. There's no reason. Like I said, I tell people all the time, don't necessarily copy what I do. Feel free to. That's why I create these. But, try out your own things. That's how I find everything that I do, is I just try out random things. Some of them work, some don't. And you might find something that works better than what I do. So definitely definitely do it.
I think the big key here, Chris, is that you basically remail to the businesses that didn't call you back. And you're doing that for at least 3 or 4 attempts. I love that.
Right. You got to go at least, I'd say at least 3 times.
Yeah, I love that. I don't do a lot of that. I have done some remailing. Generally, what I do is I mail out and then I focus on the people. Well, I'm big on cold calling, so I mail out and follow up with a call, and then so in a way that kind of serves the same purpose. But I love the remailing of it. I think that's huge.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alex was
definitely.
asking if you put a confidential stamp and you say no, but you have in the past. I've tried that both ways. I don't think I, I've never really. You would have to mail out several thousand to have a statistically meaningful number
Yeah, I've
to.
tried that in the past, and
My gut
my
feeling
feeling,
says that. I mean, you may have had a different experience. My gut feeling says it's about the same either way.
yeah, I think it would be the same. My problem with it is, I've talked about this before. Um, I live in a marketing-heavy area. There's a lot of like marketers that live around me in Connecticut, all marketing to the same people. So I have some really great competition.
Mm,
Some of you, may know Martin Maybrook. He's a big mobile guy, and he lives here in Connecticut. So uh, it, the problem with the businesses here is they've all seen that before. Uh,
yeah.
so I got to try to be different all the time. Um, so stuff like that doesn't always work for me, but it doesn't mean that it won't work for you. I mean, like I said, if they haven't seen it before, it'll probably work.
Yeah, and I get mail myself with confidential
Yeah,
stamp on
right.
it, and there's nobody mailing me anything that's confidential. And I mean, if
Yeah,
somebody wants to sue
exactly.
me, they have to send the sheriff to my front door with, serve me papers. So beyond that,
Exactly.
I don't know what else would, I mean, I don't know what else would be confidential that you would announce on the outside of the envelope, hey, this is confidential, because we live in a world of identity theft and stuff like that. So I think, Chris, I'm on board with you on that. That in a way it screams, hey, this is an advertisement.
Yeah, yep.
But try it, Alex. I mean,
Yeah, try it.
don't just say, well, they didn't like that idea. I'm not going to try it. Try it and see what happens because, like Chris said, he tries a lot of stuff. I've tried a lot of stuff, and really you learn a bunch of stuff. You learn what works and what doesn't work for you, but also you learn to get a gut feeling on how things work just by trying a lot of stuff.
Right,
So keep
right.
doing that. Cool. Do you do any phone follow-up or anything like that, or is the first time you talk to a potential
Y-
client when they call you?
Yeah, so I have a virtual assistant. I have several, but I have one who calls hangups. So um, are you guys still hearing that toilet
Yeah,
sliding
we're
sound?
still hearing the toilet sliding across the marble floor.
I wish I knew what it was. I'm sorry.
It may be something wrong with GoToWebinar. I've had weird
Yeah, that's
noises on GoToWebinar before.
right. Yeah. But anyway,
We'll just
that what was
ignore
the?
the toilet.
Yeah, let's just ignore it. What was the? Where was that question
I
going?
don't, I don't know. Chris says it's the
Yeah,
NSA listening.
NSA listening. I know. I'm actually worried about that. So.
Yeah, we were talking about your virtual assistants
Oh,
calling
right.
back and all that stuff.
So what you'll get is you'll get hangups, and especially if you're doing the tracking like I did with the Ring Central. You don't have to use Ring Central. You can use any service that does voicemail. So you get people who will call and then they'll hang up. So I have a virtual assistant who just calls those people back. Um, and, I have him trained to where he usually says something like, hi, this is so-and-so with Black Piranha Media. This is pretty embarrassing, but I think somebody may have called. I'm not sure, why, but, are you a local business? And, he doesn't usually have to say that part because, they'll answer it, hi, this is so-and-so with whatever.
Mhm.
And by doing that, that works pretty well, I would say. And they might, call and say, oh, we were just curious,
Sure.
and that's my favorite. I love when people say, oh, we were just curious, because then you can jump right in and say, oh, great, all I do is I just come by and I show you exactly what mobile is. I tell you how you can do it yourself. If you're curious, I'd love to come by and talk to you about mobile marketing and the benefits of having a mobile website. Boom, you set the appointment. Simple
Yeah.
as that. Like I said in my course, on that note, I tell people exactly how to do this by themselves. They don't need, to necessarily hire me, but like I say, people are looking for that easy button. They don't want to do it themselves. They rather hire somebody. So you can tell them all day long how to build it themselves, but they're going to hire you to do it.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way somebody, I mean, if somebody has the time to figure out how to do this stuff, they're
They're
probably
already
more.
doing it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
But if they're running some kind of other business, they're screwing up, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Do you do any phone follow-up besides with Hang-ups?
Um, you know, because I do so much testing, I can't say I've done it for the yellow letters yet.
Hmm.
But I do have, a team that does make call
Yeah.
outs
Okay.
to business, but it's not necessarily for the yellow letters.
Right.
So,
So it's
no.
not part of this specific sales funnel.
Yeah, and I think it would work like crazy, because you could direct them to the note and just say, hey, I sent you a quick note the other day, and just go from there.
Yeah, that's basically what I do. Yeah, and that works really well. But guys, there are a bunch of ways to slice up this onion, and it's not like there's one way. But I mean,
Right.
what you're hearing from both of us is that multiple contact attempts is extremely important.
It's very important. I
That's
mean,
like
think about
almost the core issue right there.
Yeah, and think about, I was thinking about, I can't remember, I went to the store and bought something the other day, and I remember it was because of a commercial. And this is a great analogy. So you see a commercial like a bunch of times, and they show it to you over and over again, and it's like eventually you might buy that product, but it won't be on that first time you saw the commercial. It takes a couple times of you seeing it to be like, hey, you know what, I want to go grab that, whatever it is.
Hmm.
And that's the way I look at it.
Well, I do that too. I think everybody does that. I mean, I'll
Right,
go to the
right,
store and see something and think to myself, that's cool. Maybe I ought to buy that. But because I'm so frugal, I don't buy it. But then like this happens to
right,
me all the time. I don't know if y'all have this chain up there, but we got a chain down here called Dick's Sporting Goods, and it's a
right,
really
yes.
fun place to shop if you like exercise or outdoors stuff. I mean, they just made the whole experience a lot of fun. So my kids actually like to go there and just hang out. So
Right.
I'll see something and say, nah, I'm not buying that. And I'll go back, I'm not buying that. And like third time, okay, I'll buy it.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way all of us do. And
Yeah,
another
exactly.
example is I bought some more life insurance a few months ago. And, you get hit up by your bank. I got a bank and a credit union, all that stuff. So they make extra money by pushing life insurance. And life insurance is great stuff, by the way. But
Right.
my kids are still young enough to where it's important that I have a lot of life insurance. But,
Right.
I mean, you get the letter, it's about life insurance every now and then, but I kept getting one from one particular company. And so finally I sat down at my desk and said, okay, I'm opening this and reading it. And
Yep.
they probably were the ones that were hitting me up the most frequently, frankly, So I ended up, now I pay them money. So,
Yeah. There you go. Um,
Susie's got a great question. She
and
says, how many contacts do you recommend?
and contacts for what? Like how many people to?
Contacts attempts. I think she means attempts per.
Oh, per letter? Yeah, 7.
Yep.
I hear 7 all the time. I think that is the lucky number. I was listening to somebody the other day that said 7. If you talk to somebody like Ryan McKinney, who I'm sure many of you know, I think he just constantly mails. I don't think he stops. He'll mail the same list over and over again, at least 7 times. Alex had a great question as well that I'd like to touch on. And
Yeah.
here's a little golden nugget for everybody. He says, people hire VAs because they think VAs are more proficient in dealing with calls that go the wrong way. So he says, how to deal with different kinds of rejections and wrong replies from the client side. So he's saying, like, maybe those VAs might not be good at that. So here's a little trick. I always hire from the Philippines. They speak better English than most Americans do. And the other thing is this is a trick I learned a long time ago. You want to, when you place your ad, you want to say that you want somebody who's worked for either AT&T, Verizon Fios, Bank of America, and there's one other company that's evading me right now. But pretty much any of the ones you in Sprint. So AT&T, Bank of America, Verizon, Fios. It's important that you say Verizon, Fios, or Sprint. And the reason for that is those were the risk management teams for those companies in the Philippines. A lot of them lost their jobs, and they're all looking for jobs. But those four companies, those people typically know how to deal with concerns, issues, angry people, and they typically speak really, really great English. So that's what I look for.
Man, that's a great tip. That's excellent.
Yeah.
How do you spell Verizon Fios? How do you spell Fios? P-H-I-O-S?
No, I think it's a V-I-O-S, isn't it? Or is it F-I-O-S, something like that?
Neil says it's, we got a couple of people saying it's
F-I-O-S.
F-I-O-S. Okay, cool.
Right. And then I want to touch on one other thing. We're going pretty quickly through the questions here, but Chris said, did you try to put something in the letter to make it lumpy? No, but what I was going to try to do, and believe it or not, this works. The same person I was listening to the other day, I wish I had the link. They crumple up their letters and put them into the envelopes. They crumple it up, uncrumple it, fold it, put it in, and it makes it kind of lumpy. And they claim that doing that gets an even better response rate. I'm kind of afraid to do that because I want my letters to look professional. I don't want them to look crumpled. But you know what? If it works, it works. Man,
that's a pretty cool idea. I would be willing to send out a few hundred letters just to try that.
Yeah, I'm never afraid to send out, a couple hundred trying, something different.
That is a pretty cool idea. I like that idea. Very cool.
Yeah.
What else do you guys need to know about this system? Part of the beauty of what Chris does is it's so incredibly simple that it doesn't take very long to talk about. But there's still a lot of little details, and he's given us some incredible stuff already. The incredible tips about doing things.
Phil says, special type of stamp? No, just a regular. Yeah, I get the forevers just because I buy them in the rolls of 100. I'm sending out like 1,000 pieces at a time. And, everybody, that might sound like a lot, but 1,000's nothing. So, but I buy those rolls of 100 forever stamps just as a flag on them. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What about lumpy mail using candy, like for foreclosure letters? Yes, you could definitely do that. Probably would work. Do you buy leads or have a VA get them manually? The VA does it. I like to blanket an entire area so everybody understands that. What that means is I'll just pick a town or even a county, and I'll just mail every single business in that area. That's in Google. And that might sound stupid because some of them do already have mobile sites and things like that, but when you're doing it in so much volume, it really doesn't matter. If you're only going to send out 100, definitely go out and do the research yourself.
So I think what you just said there is worth talking about a little more, guys, because it's all about time and money. And what he just said there was if you're going to go big with this, which I hope that you do, because this is the kind of thing you need to be doing. It's not cost effective to sort out the businesses who have and don't have mobile websites. It is cost effective to just not worry about that, mail all the stupid letters anyway, and then guess what? Somebody's already got a mobile website. They're probably not calling you back. I love that. I love that because that's the kind of really, really well thought through simplifications, frankly, that Chris is so remarkably good at. I love that. That right there. That is gold nugget number 3 right there.
Yeah, and Neil, he talks about, he said 2 questions. Fulfillment. Fulfillment's easy. I have my team who does basically everything, but if you're only mailing out 100, you could easily build the sites yourself and things like that. It won't be too much for you to handle, trust me. And do you use emails to follow up at all? Yes. Sometimes what I did with the first mailer is I did use one of the many mock-up programs that's out there to email mock-ups. Okay, so Neil says, right, the 1K is what he was referring to. Yeah, I mean, I've set up systems, so it's really easy. I can just funnel it to people. I just have to make a couple emails, and that's pretty much it. It's not very hard. And even a good VA could handle a pretty big workload of mobile sites, especially if you're using a builder. It's not too hard to do. And Jeffrey says, do you always handwrite the letter? Yes. I know it's a lot of work, but if you want money, you're going to put in the work, right? It's pretty much simple as that. You can hire, I think you can call Yellow Letters, and they will do a custom yellow letter for you. But really, it's the handwritten. For some reason, it gets a huge response, and that's why I do it. And if you want to keep doing it, you get to a certain point. I think you could easily hire some high school girl or team of girls to write for you. I always say girls because they have way better handwriting than we do.
It's just true.
Yeah, it's just true.
It's just true. I don't know
There's
why.
no way around it. Yeah, and Chris says handwriting 1,000 at a time. Ouch. Yes, it hurt. My finger is very strong right now. My my pointer finger. But I'm not. I'm not sitting down and just cranking out 1,000 all at once. What I'm doing is, I'm doing them in batches. So I say, okay, I'm going to do 50 today. I might do just 10 tomorrow. But I think what's important, and me and I talked about this a lot yesterday, which is momentum. And, just keep the momentum going. Don't stop. Even if you only do 10, at least you did 10. And then Jeffrey says it's funny because that seems so unprofessional. I'm assuming you're talking about the handwritten.
Yeah, that's actually the thing that's going to make it work and stand out from all of the other stuff. Yeah.
Because you don't seem like a big company. You don't seem like you're trying to do anything crazy. And that's why I take the approach when I do the sales that you're just going to go in there and meet with them. You're not going to try to sell them. You're just going to show them how to do it. And I think that's why that works.
Love it, because people really don't want to be sold to. They just, especially business owners, they're not idiots. That's why they're stayed in business during the recession.
Right, of course.
They just want to know what the deal is and let them make a decision. Yeah.
Right.
I had a question, but I forgot what it was. So let's move on to Tim's Haskell. Let's move on to Tim's question. Postcards.
Postcards. I haven't tried any yellow letter style postcards. I've never gotten a humongous response from postcards. Maybe 2-3%. It's always been really low. I think it's because businesses, even I think about my own business. I receive postcards all the time from GoDaddy or a million other places. So it's I pretty much just ignore them and toss them. I'm sure everybody else does. So Philip says you wouldn't use a handwritten font and print it on a yellow line sheet. Philip, I know plenty of people that do it for other industries, and that does work. There's actually, if you Google, I think handwritten font, you can do it. There's also another program that will take your own handwriting and put it into a font. I can't remember what it's called. There's a million things you could do. You could scan a template, cut out the pieces, put it on a yellow line sheet of paper, and then just print up a bunch of them, and then write in the names and the whatever else you need to do.
Some of this comes under the heading. Yeah, go ahead. Talk about Susie's question.
Yeah, I think she said handwritten postcard. Yeah. Pretty much it would probably be the same. What I would be interested to try is almost doing and this is actually a good idea. Maybe somebody wants to try it. Is doing a travel postcard, like one that you'd get from some place, and writing a postcard like that, because that would be a little interesting. The business owner might look at it and say why is somebody sending me a postcard from Florida on vacation or something, and then they read the back of it. So that might actually work. Doing something
not a bad
like
idea.
That. Yeah, I'd be interested to try that myself.
But these are great questions, guys. But to make sure we don't get off topic too much, The fact is, Chris has a system with a 15% minimum callback rate. I mean,
Right.
if you took all of the stuff he sent out and looked at his callback rate, 15%, which is just crazy good.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
you're welcome to try anything you want. I mean, like if I were coaching you or something like that, I would say what you need to do is you need to take Chris's system and run with it. And once you get that going, because you know that works, once you
Right.
get that going, then you can take a little bit extra time, hire somebody, something else, and try some other things, and see if you can match what you're getting with Chris's system. But if you go off trying 5 different things, then basically what's going to happen is 4 of them aren't going to work, and you're going to think, well, the whole thing doesn't work. So
Right.
you want to be careful fixing stuff that isn't broken, basically.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one.
Yeah.
Chris actually lives down in South America, so that's where he's coming from with that question.
Yeah, Chris, I would direct you to go to yellowletters.com. There's a guy over there named Michael Quarles, and he's probably who you're going to talk to. And I would just ask him if he'll do a custom template, which I'm sure he will. You could just send him a copy of the template, and he will print those up for you. He can mail them for you, and you can also order them in larger batches. And then what you do is he'll send you a large batch to your house in a box that comes with the postage already on it. And then you can mail them out in batches yourself. Obviously you're overseas, so that would be difficult. So, you can have him do, he'll do 100 at a time, if you want to go that low, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, Guy, Canada, you could, handwrite them yourself and send them out. I'm pretty sure it's the same.
Yeah, I think mailing from Canada is just like mail in the United States. You just
exactly.
slap a stamp on and go. Susie, a report would be a good thing on one of the follow-up mail. One of your follow-up mailings. Good stuff. Anything else big you guys need to ask Chris about this? Or Chris, is there anything that we have failed to talk about
I mean, no, we talked about it so much yesterday.
Yeah, I know. I know. You and I got really excited about this whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think we touched on pretty much everything. I really can't think of anything.
One thing that we didn't touch on was doing it.
Oh, right. Yeah, actually.
I mean, there's a huge difference between, I call it collecting systems, okay?
Right.
And, you've got to do it, guys, okay? I mean, just sitting around collecting systems isn't going to put money in the bank. You've got to do it. So, Tom just got on. Tom, we have a replay, so we talked
replay will
about
be up
that,
top.
so you'll want to check that out. Okay. So, guys, are we good with this specific system?
I think we are.
I think we are. Okay, well,
yeah.
Let's move on. Okay, cool beans. I've been doing some coaching lately. I've always done some coaching, but I started doing it on a more formal basis, and it's been really, really cool. I want to tell you a quick story about one of my coaching students. I was working with this particular person basically on what I call business building. And business building is basically just like this, getting stuff in place so that, and starting to build the marketing machine, learning to turn the crank, so that you have an influx of business over a long period of time. That was going great. This guy calls me up one evening, and I mean, on Skype, he's a coaching student, so he knows how to get hold of me. Not everybody can get hold of me. So he calls me up one evening, and he says, "Well, Lee, I've got a major problem." And I said, "Okay, well, what is the problem?" He said, "Well, I'm broke, and I need money like yesterday." Okay, well, see, I didn't really know that. You know, I understand, you know, guys got wife, kids, etc. It's a little hard for a guy to admit to somebody else you're broke. So he said, you know, we're doing the business building thing. That's cool, but do you know any way for me to start making money like right now? And I said, yes, actually, I know 2 ways for you to do that. So I described to him a specific way that I have used in the past and would still use. I don't personally have this problem, okay? So I don't personally run out of money. But if I were to personally run out of money, this would be a way that I would get money immediately. And I described to him the system. It was super, super easy to do. That was, I think, on Thursday night. And so he calls me Friday night. You know, I mean, I just stepped the whole thing out for him. I said, step number 1, you got to do this. Step number 2, you got to do that. Step number 3, you got to do that. This is what you're doing tomorrow. He calls me Friday night. He says, man, I am so excited. I've got 2 people that want proposals. And that was really funny. He said, I am so happy because now I think I've got the opposite problem of creating so much business that I won't even be able to fulfill it. And I said, well, you know, if you get to that point, let me know and I'll help you hire somebody to help you out with that. But you may just have some, you know, 3 or 4 hour per, you know, sleep per nights where you're just working all the time, but at least you'll have a ton of money in the bank. So I got to thinking after that, and I was talking to Chris about this. A lot of people have the problem. I'm not saying a lot of people are broke. A lot of people are broke. But a lot of people have the problem of working so hard at building something for the future that they don't do the other thing, which is extremely important in business, which is learning how to kill it and bring it home today, learning how to put money in the bank today. So I decided to go ahead and create a new VIP class where I'm going to teach people my 2 personal methods. There are 2 of them that I use on how to make money like right now. And I want to tell you about that, okay? So like I said, bottom line, I outlined a quick and easy way for this guy to start making money right now, and he's doing it. Now, this is what you need to know about this. I'm calling it VIP Training Fast Cash, Fast Offline Cash, okay? I target 2 huge business types. Guys, this is so simple that if I get much more specific than what I'm telling you here, I might as well give it to you for free, honestly, because it is like so incredibly simple. But I'm targeting 2 huge business types, business niches. I have an absolute no-brainer approach for this. The guy, Philip likes free. Well, free is worth 0, Philip, so, you know. The goal is quick money. This is going to be delivered through 3 webinars. Webinar 1 is how to do it for business A. Webinar 2 is how to do it for business B. Webinar 3 is a webinar wrap-up. Also, I'm going to create a special Facebook group for this. And like I say, I would love to make this harder or longer, but I can't. This is so incredibly easy. It is one of those things that I can explain to you how to do, and if you will go out and do it, you will actually make money. Do it instead of thinking about it. Do it, you know, just do it. But before, you know, how much is this going to cost? Before we get into this, I want to talk to you about 2 things because I want to make totally sure, because I'm being a little vague because this is so simple. And I want to talk to you about who does not need to buy this and who does need to buy this. I want to be completely upfront with you about the whole thing. Please don't take this the wrong way. I'm just trying to be totally transparent. Who doesn't need to buy this? People looking for a magic bullet, okay? If you're constantly buying stuff because you think you're going to get the system with the right mixture of technology and ninja neuro-linguistic programming, hoo-ha, and all that stuff, if that's where your mind and heart is and trying to figure out how to make offline work for you, God bless you, you're not going to be successful. But unless you can change that attitude, you do not need to be buying this. Just hand on a stack of Bibles. If you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, okay, your comfort zone, let me just say this very bluntly. If you're broke, you're in your comfort zone. Okay, broke is part of your comfort zone. Now, if you don't want to be broke, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. Right. Yeah, Chris says if it were a magic bullet, it wouldn't work the minute thousands of people started replicating. Yeah. Now, if you're not willing to learn some simple sales skills, now I don't mean, like again, neuro-linguistic NLP nonsense. I'm talking about good old-fashioned sales skills. Okay, stuff I've been doing for decades. If you're not willing to dust off and learn some of those sales skills, don't buy this. If you're looking for a system that will do the work for you instead of you're getting off your rear end and doing some work yourself, don't buy this. Now, honestly, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be totally transparent. Okay, so if that's where your brain is, that you're looking for stuff like this, I can tell you right now, having talked to hundreds of people and sold stuff to thousands of people, you're not going to succeed. But if you want to keep on with that, that's fine. Sometimes people need to learn stuff just by hitting bottom. I understand that. But if you're ready to grow up and get over that, then you probably want to talk. You probably want to hear who should buy this. So let's talk about who does need to buy this. Somebody who's willing to do what it takes to start making money right now, and it is not hard to do. They're very simple steps. But if you will do them, you will actually start making money right now. Is this for you? Only you can decide that. Okay, so just take what the spirit of what I was talking about and understand that what I'm offering you is a way to make money right now. But you're going to have to grow, and you're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to face a few fears. It's not like standing in front of an oncoming train on the train track, okay? I'm not talking about something like that. I'm talking about you're just going to have to get over some stuff. There's really not a lot to get over, but you're going to have to probably get over a couple of things. Otherwise, you would already be very successful. That's the way it works. But if you're willing to do that, then I would suggest that you, Neil, that's a fabulous question. Can you hold that and remember to ask me that in just a minute? But if you're willing to do that, then you might want to suggest doing this. So you decide. I'd rather you not buy and ask for a refund. I mean, I can deal with the refund. All I got to do is click a few buttons and all that stuff. It's just, why go there? Okay, so if you're collecting systems and software and whatnot instead of really learning how to run a real business, just skip this. Just don't buy it. But if you want to leave the world of shiny objects behind and learn how simple it is to start making real money, then I would love to have you aboard. Let's talk about the price and where you can get hold of this. $197. I've kept this as low as humanly possible. These are classes. The classes are on the 22nd. Let me pull up a calendar here. The 22nd, the 25th, and the 29th of July, 8 p.m. Eastern. They will be recorded. This will all be available to you ad infinitum in a members area. So if you miss the class, you'll be able to get it on your own. Facebook group, because I want you guys helping each other. And if you're interested in this, this is the world's worst sales pitch, because I'm really not trying to manipulate someone into buying this. I just want you to buy this if you think it will help you and if you think that you are the kind of person that I'm talking about. But if you want to buy this, go right here. bit.ly, bit.ly/VIP Fast Cash. bit.ly VIP Fast Cash. Now I saw a ton of questions floating by. No, Doug, because that's, if I'm understanding you correctly, that's owned by a different corporate entity, basically, is what that's all about. So a ton of questions flashing by. Neil, you had a question. Can this be done outside the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday? Yes, but it's going to go slower, okay? I mean, this is, like I said, this is real business building, okay? Your rate of progress I mean, look, if I can work at something that actually does work, excuse me, if I can work at something 40 hours a week and you can work at something 8 hours a week, then I'm probably going to have more or less 5 times the speed than you are, if that makes any sense. It won't be exact, but you know. But yes, it can be done, but if you can't put a ton of time on it, then probably it will be slow. I don't know, Alex. Alex has a great question. How soon after this training starts can I start earning on the 22nd, I'm going to give you, and it's really easy to do. Okay, on the 22nd, I'm going to give you the entire whole thing for one of the businesses that I go after. Okay, when I do this, you can start the next day doing this, and realistically, you know, I've had people that I've coached doing this who went out the next day and made money like immediately. Okay, beyond saying that, I can't, you know, I can't really say that you would make X amount of dollars within Y amount of time because I don't know you, and you know, I don't know your work ethic and all that stuff. But I will say that I've had people where I said, do this, and then they basically approached 10 businesses with this and came away with 3 sales the next day. But whether that's going to work for everybody, I honestly don't know. I expect, when I go out and do this, I generally do quite well at it. But I've never really measured it over a statistically significant number of people. Okay. Tim, why haven't you shared this in previous products or training? That is a fabulous question, Tim. I think that's a very fair question, too. And I've got a bunch of different ways to talk about an answer to that. Part of it, Tim, just honestly, until I started doing a lot of coaching, Tim, I'm going to finish that sentence in a second, but let me back up so you understand where I'm coming from. Chris, you and I were talking about this actually yesterday.
Right.
How we both started in this business. And I basically told you that I quit my job, and a lot of these guys have heard this before. I quit my job. I said, oh, crap, I've got to make money.
Right.
I had sold real estate for a decade in the past. I knew how to use the telephone. And I basically got on, you know, I basically sat down in front of the computer and said, okay, I got to make some money. What can I sell? And at the time I was targeting selling search engine optimization because I was super good at that from having been an affiliate marketer with Amazon for several years. And so I basically Googled business type Atlanta where I lived. I was sitting there looking at the computer screen, and I was calling businesses. Well, the first one who was really interested, which happened like, now just so you guys know, the method that I'm describing is not what I'm going to teach you. Okay, it's a little easier and slightly different. I'm answering Tim's question, but it needs a little history to it. Okay. So I basically started calling businesses because I had no clue as to what to do. I knew about the Warrior Forum, but I was so ignorant about all that stuff that I wasn't even smart enough to get caught up in buying a bunch of junk that I just read and never did anything with, if that makes any sense, okay? I was blissfully ignorant, and it worked out. So I basically started at the top, started calling these businesses, and I remember like 8 or 10 calls in, this guy says, yeah, I just started this. It was an optician here in Atlanta. Said, yeah, my wife and I just started this business, and honestly, I need help with my Google Places page. This is back before Google Plus Local, this is a long time ago. And he said, can you help me with that? So I said, yeah, I know plenty about that. So I made an appointment with him. I went over there that day, and I walked out of his place of business with an $800 check in my hand. And see, I thought, man, this is easy. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. And it actually is when you do it right, okay? And I just kept doing that. I mean, I had a little trouble early on with organization, spending too much time fulfilling and not enough time prospecting, so my income would go up and down, up and down. But those are details that I figured out. But that's how I actually started, Tom. Now, because of that, when I started selling information products, I had never really talked to a bunch of other people about what their issues were in terms of figuring out how to do this business. I knew what my issues were, and I started creating information products that basically mirrored what I was doing in my own business and that were working for me, and sold those to other people, and they worked fine for them. But Tim, I never really understood until I got into, especially recently, a lot of coaching, that a lot of people have a lot of the same issues, and honestly, Tim, that those were not the issues that I personally have, because I have a little different history than a lot of people. So the bottom line is, Tim, until recently would be defined in this conversation somewhere like between 3 and 6 months ago, I didn't really understand that other people didn't understand how to do this. Okay, in other words, what I'm saying is I didn't know that this was needed, but it kind of dawned on me as I started coaching people. I started saying, hey, this person needed that. A lot of people that I coach, I help them cut through the junk and focus on stuff that is really streamlined and really does work. This particular person needed money now, and so I just pulled out some of the things that I do to create immediate money and packaged that up in a way that another person could do it. I also used to be a teacher. I'm quite good at telling other people how to do stuff like this in a way that's achievable for them. And it started working. And so, Tim, the real answer to your question is I honestly didn't know that this was a really needed thing. But when I started all the coaching, it became very apparent to me. It's kind of like I had like a, oh my God moment. This is something that a lot of people need. So, part of my business is creating things that solve problems for you guys. So I decided to create a course outlining these two methods of making money right now. And so that's about the best I can do answering that question. So Tim, if you need to follow up on that, please let me know. Yeah, Guy, if you're going to sell something, you're going to need to fulfill it. Business A, you're going to be selling them specifically a mobile website. Business B, you're going to be selling them any one of a whole constellation of things, and that could be chosen from the types of things that you already know how to sell. Philip, if we're looking at selling a mobile website, I sell those for about $500 a piece, so that would be $1,500. Brenda, just hit AJ up about that. That would be the easy way to answer that question. Neil, hit me up on that, okay? You've got my email. Tim says, Lee, I'm not trying to be, Tim, that's a fabulous question. Not trying to be difficult. Does that make other products incomplete? Okay, Tim. There are basically two issues with a marketing business. Basically, what you're learning to build is a marketing company. And in any business, they're kind of like two things that you have to think about all at the same time. Well, there's a zillion things, but in terms of making money, there are two things you got to think about at the same time. One is, how do I structure stuff so that my business grows and so that I'm building a business over a series of months? That's one thing. But another thing is waking up this morning and saying, okay, where's the money coming from? How do I get money in the door today? And oddly enough, those two things are not always the same thing. You would think that they are, but a lot of times they're not. Quick money is a lot of times not something that you could build a sustainable business on for a long period of time. You would, in other words, you could go after quick money using the two methods I'm going to teach you. You could build that. You could actually build that up into a sustainable business. But if you were going to work with me, like some people are in the long-term coaching thing, building up the business over time is something that you have to do in a slightly different way. And the two don't necessarily always mesh. A lot of people get into the box of always building for the future, but never closing any deals today. And that was kind of like where this guy was that was calling me, because he was doing great, building some really cool stuff for the future. I didn't realize that we needed cash right now. Otherwise, I'd say, hey, dude, let's put this off and let's get some cash coming in right now. So Tim, the answer to your follow-up question is businesses are fairly complex. I mean, you can't buy a $12 report or a $24 report or even a $200 course and have a business. Okay, you can buy pieces of it is basically what you're buying. But this class is specifically focused on making money right now. Okay, so it does not make other stuff incomplete. You know, even these little marketing businesses are fairly complex little entities, which is why people trip over themselves when they try to build one. Guy says, how many local businesses have in-house webmasters? I don't know. In-house webmasters? Very few. You know, I mean, if they do have a quote-unquote webmaster, it's the person that built their website. You know, I don't run into that a ton. I'm not really sure what that has to do with this. More questions about this? Again, you know, this is not really a sales pitch. I just want people for whom this makes sense and who are going to do what I tell them to. So a bunch of stuff, scroll by. If I miss something, please let me know. You bet, Neil.
Yeah,
yeah, Alex, what I was, again, I gave the example for Business A of a mobile website, and those sell for about $500 a piece. Philip, I can't guarantee that. I've already answered that question, Philip, because I'm not you. How soon could Lee Cole get that money back? Philip's saying if he pays me $197, how fast can he get it back? How fast can I get it back? I could get it back by this afternoon. How fast can you get it back? I don't know. I don't know your work ethic. You are talking to a person. You're listening to a person talking. Me and Chris both. I mean, we know how to put the pedal to the metal, and it's not some technical thing that we know that a lot of people don't. It's the fact that we are quite capable of working our rear ends off with an amazing amount of focus.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, you know, we could get it back in, you know, a matter of hours, maybe even in under an hour. You know, you just have to go out and do it. You know, I know I've emailed a couple courses to you guys on my list about walking into businesses. You know, if you're really desperate, just walk into a business and just start talking to them. Business owners aren't that scary, and typically, you know, if you spend a day walking around and going into your local businesses, you'll get at least one person, even if you're a terrible salesman. So, you know, you just have to do it. I think that's really, you know, what's important.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, Philip, I mean, I understand why you're asking the question. I really do. I'm not unsympathetic to that, or don't. It's not that I don't understand it. It's that I can't answer it. I could say that I could. Well, Chris already knows how to do this stuff. But if I told Chris, I said, Chris, this is exactly what I told this coaching student, and Chris said, man, this is cool. And it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go do this. Chris would probably have money by lunch. Okay. But I don't know about you guys. You know, I don't.
Yeah,
there's too many variables for me to answer that question. While being fair to you, you know, I mean, I could be a salesman and tell you that you'll do yada, 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 but I don't want that. I don't want you having unrealistic expectations. I just want you working on it if you're going to do this. Okay. Dave, no, that there again is owned by a different corporate entity from this. More questions, guys. I mean, these are wonderful questions, and I'm sorry I can't answer some of them, but I'm trying to be ultra fair to you guys in terms of what I can definitely tell you that's definitely true and what I can't tell you that's just mere speculation. So we got it. So no more questions about VIP Fast Cash. And no more questions about Chris's system. Right, Dave? Oh, is it a version of that? No, this is not a version of that. Dave, other than a one-on-one setting, I have done what I call informal coaching with for 2 years with people that, John, I'll look at that just a sec. You might want to put http:// in front of that. Hold on, John. I'll make sure that we got the right link for you.
I just posted it again in the chat.
Yeah, try that and see if that works, John. See if that doesn't work in the chat. And I kind of lost my train of thought there. Dave was asking about my version of Quick Start. Oh yeah, Dave. Here's the deal. Some people over like the past couple of years or so have just reached out to me and said, you know, would you help me? I'm willing to pay you. And for some of those, I have actually done some coaching. Okay, and the ones that did what I told them to ended up doing very well. Some of them ended up doing extremely well. But until recently, I didn't really, I kind of kept that on the down low, okay, because I had way too much to do, and I didn't want to get into a situation where I sold somebody basically my time and my effort, and I didn't have the time to, you know, fulfill. I didn't have the time to really help them. But I've restructured a lot of things in my business lately, and I started offering coaching, specific coaching, and that's kind of what this grew out of. But having, other than those people who either had an informal coaching relationship with me or a specific paid coaching relationship with me, the coaching that I announced a month or so ago, other than that, I have never told anybody, except for a few friends like Chris, I have never told anybody how either of these things works. Now, I'm not saying I'm the only person on the planet that knows how to do this, because I know for a fact I'm not. But I am saying that in terms of me creating products for you guys, I have never taught this. So this is new in that sense, in the sense of being stuff that I or me or various partners created to tell you guys. This is new. You bet, Dave. These are great questions, guys. I want this thing to be totally upfront and absolutely transparent, because honestly, I want whoever gets in on this, I want you to totally knock it out of the park and be as excited as my coaching student was and call me back and say, hey man, I'm selling so much stuff that I'm worried about fulfilling. And, you know, that's a good problem to have. Instead of being broke, that's a bad problem to have. So, John, did that work out for you? Yes, this is being recorded, and this should be up in a this should be up on a page, and I'll send Chris the link to the page. I'd probably look in it a couple hours or so. It takes a couple hours to download this, and you know, probably put it on YouTube or something, and pop it on the page. But you'll have this available to look at the whole thing. More questions, guys. Anything else that I can help you out with in terms of the two things that we're talking about, which is VIP Fast Cash and any of Chris's stuff. While you've got access to Chris right now in person, you know, you need to be thinking about questions, because this guy's a genius at this kind of stuff, for real, no joke.
Alex, did you get my response? I think I'm not sure.
I see it in the answer thing,
Okay.
so I think he's good. Okay. So I'm assuming we're good to go. Thank you so much. You guys are great. Thank you for showing up on Saturday afternoon, and I'm good to go. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I am. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for coming out. It was fun.
Yeah, Philip says a couple of days to do Fastcast. We're going to leave this open for like a week, okay? So I'll go ahead and set a date with you guys. Today's the 13th. The first class is on the 22nd. So why don't I leave this open through, let's say, 9 p.m. my time on Sunday, okay? 9 p.m. my time on Sunday. I'll remove the link. And that will give you a good week to figure out, you can look at the replay again, shoot me a question, et cetera, et cetera. I'll give you a good week to figure out if this is a fit for you. Don't buy it if it's not a fit for you. Don't just spend money just to spend money. But if you think this kind of thing would help you, then I would love to have the opportunity to help you out. Okay, so y'all, thank you so much. You have a great rest of the weekend. And as soon as we get this replay up, Chris will email everybody. See y'all later.
Yes, I will. Thanks, guys.